Stop listening to people's opinions and instead listen to price action. Bitcoin is retesting the exact level that rejected price for 4 years. The 2021 double top resistance is now acting as major demand. And in 2017, when this happened, Bitcoin, it wasn't just a bounce from there. It created an all new time high. Now, fast forward to today, and price is sitting at the same structural retest. But here's the problem. On the weekly time frame, there is clean liquidity still sitting at the 54,000 level. And on the daily time frame, 69,000 is acting as a heavy supply. So the real question is this the cheapest level of the cycle before the expansion? Or are we about to sweep liquidity one more time before the real move begins? So in this video, I'm going to show you the monthly breakout retest, why institutions may want 54,000 first, the strong supply at 69K, my Morpho trade, which is now protected and in profit, and why I'm refusing to chase Bitcoin, the Bitcoin short, without confirmation. No emotions, no guessing. This is all just following the plan and following the structure. So if you value analysis like this, real-time analysis over hype, then do me a favor. Do yourself a favor. Subscribe to the channel. All you have to do is press this button right there. How cool is that? And press the like button a few thousand times. That also helps. And you know what? Share this with someone who thinks Bitcoin is too expensive right now because they certainly need the help. And now we're going to get into this analysis. Let's evaluate it properly, shall we? Let's go! So first, we're going to begin with the macro. While Bitcoin is retesting a multi-year breakout level, we're going to take a look at this. El Salvador just announced plans to start a Bitcoin bank. That's right, El Salvador. The other day we had what? Kazakhstan? Hello. Now we have El Salvador. But at least the girls are cute there. Anyway, let that sink in. A country that made Bitcoin legal tender is now growing infrastructure around it. That is not speculation, people. That is integration and long-term commitment. Because you know what? Again, I'm not making any long-term commitment to those girls, but they're still cute. And at the same time, we have this. Jamie Dimon, one of the biggest banking voices in the world, is now publicly talking about stablecoin yield rules. Let's take a quick listen, shall we? Here, let's get this going over here. What does this guy have to say?
You and your peers have reportedly clashed with Coinbase's Brian Armstrong over the Clarity Act and specifically this idea of crypto exchanges offering rewards for stablecoins. And Armstrong was on CNBC with Sarah Eisen a few weeks ago from Mar-a-Lago, and he said there's a path forward for the market structure bill that's a, quote, win-win outcome for everyone. How are you feeling about it right now?
Yeah, so the banks feel strongly that there should be, rewards are the same as interest. And that, a compromise would be that you could pay rewards on transactions, not balances. If you are going to be holding balances and paying interest, that's the bank. You should be regulated by a bank. So we've been firm. One thing over here, yes, but if you want to be a bank, become a bank. Then you can do whatever you want under bank law. So I remind people, and your viewers may not know, banks.
All right, you get the idea. So read between the lines, okay? This conversation isn't about cryptocurrency going away. The conversation now is how do we regulate it properly? So when you have banking CEOs, when they're debating the cryptocurrency yield structures, instead of making Bitcoin go away, that means adoption has happened. Now, one thing about this guy I believe is the one who likes to hold up the Clarity Act because the banks realize that no one's going to want to deposit their money in banks anymore. Well, that's what you get for abusing the system for so long, and no one is going to sympathize with the bankers. That's all I'm going to say there. Now, let's move along to this one. So, now, what matters here, though, is the narrative, right? So now the thing is, you got analysts openly calling for 300,000 Bitcoin. Now, come on, people, come on. So whether that happens next month or in years or whatever is irrelevant. What matters is the bias of this type of propaganda. Now, again, don't get carried away. Don't be the guy that gets suckered by this. Make sure you do your homework because this is good, like if you're long and stuff like this is coming out, but don't be the sucker. That's all I'm going to say. What matters here is countries are growing around it, banks are adapting to it, and regulators are structuring around it as well. Meanwhile, price is retesting macro demand. That is the contrast, okay? We have short-term weakness, but long-term expansion. And historically, those are the moments where positioning matters the most. Now, let's get into the chart, shall we? So we'll begin here. with the big picture. On the monthly time frame, Bitcoin is currently retesting a major demand level. You can see that right here. Okay, this level is not random. This was the exact resistance during the 2021 double top, right? For almost 4 years, this zone rejected price. And people said Bitcoin was expensive here. People said it was overvalued, right? Don't listen to people. Then in 2025, Bitcoin broke it. Now, what normally happens when a multi-year resistance breaks, do you know? It typically becomes support. So massive resistance, breakout, retest, right? And then new all-time high. That's the situation over here. You see that? Retest worked its way to the high. Now, Bitcoin is doing exactly that. It's in the same position. And we can see one of these type of situations from here, right? Now, could we pull back to 50K or even 40K? Yes, that is also a possibility. But structurally speaking, this is one of the strongest value zones we have had in this cycle. This is not random price action. This is macro structure. Let's move along. So let's look at the weekly time frame here, right? Price has been sitting inside this weekly bullish order block for quite some time. You can also see the 50-period exponential moving average and the 100 exponential moving average on the chart. Price respected the 50 EMA multiple times, and then when it broke, it pulled back aggressively into this demand zone. But here is what stands out. This is very clean sell-side liquidity sitting below, specifically around the 54,600 zone. If institutions want higher prices, they will likely want that liquidity first. They don't move markets emotionally. Understand that. So what I'm saying here is they move markets strategically. Now, am I saying Bitcoin has to go there? No. But if we sweep that level and then reclaim it, that move would make a lot more structural sense before an expansion higher. All right, let's move along here and talk about the daily time frame. So I mentioned this level a few days ago, 69,000. And look what price is doing, right? Repeated attempts to break above and repeated failures, right? So clearly there is supply there. Very tight closes right at the level. This, again, is not random. This is strong supply. So when price keeps closing under the resistance, like you can see happening right in here, with precision like this, it tells us that the bears are trying to defend this aggressively. And below, there's liquidity, right? So which means that the probability of a lower sweep increases. So short-term, pressure is below. Mid-term, the liquidity is below. And long-term, the structure is still bullish. So that is a split narrative. You have to consider both sides. Now, let's talk about Morpho on our trade updates. So Morpho is doing exactly what we wanted. Look at this. Price pushed higher, and now I've moved my stop loss to $1.70. So this is now a protected position. I have, if price reverses, I still lock in profit. If it continues to the second profit objective, I win even more. Nothing wrong with that. And if momentum stays strong, I may scale even further. We have to see how that goes, right? So that's how you manage winning trades. You protect first, then you expand. Let's move on to the 4-hour time frame. So I told you I was waiting for liquidity around the $71,000 level. That's this area right here. Price never pushed into that area. It moved lower instead. So yes, price can absolutely go toward the partial 1 and partial 2 objectives from here. But here's the thing between amateurs and professionals. I stick to my rules. You understand that? So if my level isn't compromised or touched or whatever, I don't chase. Missing the trade does not hurt. So my plan continues to be simple. Wait for the 71,000 liquidity to be consumed. Price needs to go up into this zone over here. It needs to test this area, right? So we wait for that confirmation and then we open the short. No confirmation, no trade. Because in the long run, the plan, it compounds, right? While emotion will ruin your account. So speaking of that, let's take a look at the trade challenge. So here, right, quick update. We started with $10,000 and the mission is very simple. Build consistency, compound with the plan, and scale with the structure. No hype, no emotions, no gambling. You can see we have 10 trades here, right? Morpho is protected in profit after moving the stop higher. Bitcoin 4-hour setup is not in play yet, so that's fine. We just wait. We wait for that one, right? Because this is a challenge. because in this challenge, we do not chase, right? We're not afraid of missing out. We follow rules. Missing the trade is cheaper than breaking the plan. By the way, all of these trades are now done on the MEXC platform. Why? Hey, we got great trades on there. We have deep liquidity, fast fills, and smooth leverage management. When you are looking at 10x to 15x leverage, the speed matters a lot. Slippage matters. Fees matter, precision matters. That's why I'm using MEXC now for these setups. So if you're serious about structured plans and taking trades like that in a structured way, use a platform that's built for it. And by the way, every single trade in this challenge is logged inside Profits Precision. Okay, this is not vibes. This is real data. We track everything. The R multiples, the win rate, the net P&L. You got the idea. The risk per trade. And remember, this platform is completely free to use. So if you're not journaling your trades, you're guessing. Most traders don't lose because of a bad strategy. They lose because they don't measure their performance. This challenge is about growing an advantage or following a plan that compounds over 50 to 100 trades. That is how real growth happens. So people, so just to recap here, monthly retest off of a multi-year breakout, right? We have weekly liquidity sitting below, and we have daily supply sitting at 69K. The macro adoption continues to accelerate globally. This is not a random market. This is a positioning market. And I'm bringing new trade setups every day, almost every day, consistently in Bitcoin, altcoins. We have swing trades, high reward risk trades, entry stops, live management, everything, real-time updates. Everything goes into the Telegram channel. So if you're not in there, people, this is all you have to do. All you have to do is go into the description. There's a link right here. That link will take you to the Telegram channel. And everything is put in there first. Not before the move, not after, right? Or before, everything is before the move. Not after. So if you want to follow the $10,000 to $100,000 journey in real time, go there. If you want structured trades instead of emotional reactions, go there. If you want to trade on MEXC and properly and track everything with Profits Precision, join that free Telegram. Go there right now. Do it. Do it now, okay? The market will reward you for following the plan and punish those who hesitate. People, stay calm, be careful, follow the plan, and I will see you in the next one. Let's go!